The grand ballroom of Ashford Manor was alive with the sound of laughter and music, a vibrant tapestry woven from the finest silks and jewels. Crystal chandeliers sparkled like stars against the deep velvet sky outside, casting a warm, inviting glow that enveloped the elegantly dressed guests. Ladies in exquisite gowns twirled gracefully, while gentlemen in tailored suits exchanged pleasantries and shared whispered secrets. The atmosphere was intoxicating, a celebration of high society where every glance held a story, and every smile concealed a secret. One more thing before we continue our tale: every great love story has its obstacles, and mine is reaching 1,000 subscribers. If you believe there's still room in this world for love letters, candlelit balls, and romances that transcend time, join me on this journey. Subscribe, turn on notifications. Let's write this happy ending together. Now, back to the story at hand. Amidst the jubilant throng stood Lady Isadora Pelham, her heart racing as she leaned against the balcony railing. The cool night air brushed against her skin, but it did little to quell the unease bubbling within her. She had always relished these grand events, reveling in the music and the company of friends. Yet tonight, a palpable tension hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Rumors, like dark clouds, had begun to gather, swirling around her beloved Duke. Whispers of betrayal had reached her ears, and the mere thought sent a chill down her spine. Isadora watched the Duke from a distance, his tall frame standing out among the crowd. He was the epitome of charm, handsome and charismatic, yet there was something in the way he interacted with others that set her heart on edge. His laughter, once a comforting melody, now seemed laced with something she could not quite identify. A flicker of doubt crept into her mind, and she clenched her fists, fighting against the rising tide of despair. What if the rumors are true, she thought, her heart clenching painfully. What if he has betrayed me? The very idea felt like a dagger to her heart, leaving her breathless. She had given him her trust, her love, and now she stood on the precipice of an emotional abyss, teetering between love and suspicion. Just as she gathered the courage to confront him, a familiar voice broke through her thoughts. "Isadora, dear. Are you lost in the stars again?" It was her dear friend, Lady Clara, who approached with a beaming smile and sparkling eyes. Clara, with her effervescent personality, always seemed to lift Isadora's spirits, but tonight, even her cheerful demeanor felt like a mask hiding the truth. The two ladies exchanged pleasantries, but Isadora's mind was elsewhere. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was dreadfully amiss. The laughter and music around her faded into a distant hum as she caught sight of the Duke again, engaged in conversation with a striking woman whose beauty was undeniable. The way he leaned in, the way he smiled, it ignited a wildfire of jealousy within Isadora, twisting her insides into knots. How could he, she whispered under her breath, biting her lip to stifle the swell of emotion. She felt as if she were drowning in a sea of uncertainty, and the weight of it threatened to pull her under. Every laugh, every shared glance between the Duke and the other woman felt like a betrayal, a cruel twist of fate that threatened to unravel the love story she had cherished. Before she could voice her concerns, another wave of laughter erupted from the crowd, drawing her attention once more. Isadora's heart raced as she realized the moment had come. She had to speak to the Duke, to confront him about the whispers that had invaded her mind. With a deep breath, she stepped away from the balcony, determination fueling her steps. As she made her way through the crowd, her eyes remained fixated on him. The closer she drew, the louder the doubts screamed in her mind. What if he denies it? What if he laughs it off? The thought filled her with trepidation, each step becoming heavier than the last. Finally, she reached him, her heart pounding as she forced a smile. "Duke Alastair," she began, her voice steady despite the tempest raging within her. He turned to her, his expression shifting from delight to concern as he realized the somber tone in her voice. "Isadora, my dear. You look radiant tonight," he said, his charming smile faltering ever so slightly. "Thank you, but I need to speak with you," she replied, her heart racing as she struggled to keep her composure. Isadora opened her mouth to voice her fears, to ask him about the rumors that had seeped into her heart like poison. But before she could utter the words, Lady Clara chimed in, breaking the tension. "Oh, come now, Isadora. Let's not ruin the evening with heavy matters. Look at the Duke, he's been waiting for you to join him all night." The levity in Clara's voice momentarily eased the tension, but it also frustrated Isadora. The moment slipped away, and she felt the weight of her unresolved questions pressing down on her shoulders. If only she understood, Isadora thought as she glanced at the Duke, who was now eyeing her with a mix of curiosity and concern. The night wore on, and as the music swelled, Isadora's mind raced with thoughts of betrayal and doubt. She had the opportunity to confront him, to seek the truth, yet here she was, trapped in a web of social niceties. The laughter around her felt hollow, the joy of the evening overshadowed by a looming storm of emotion. Before we continue with our protagonist's story, if you're enjoying this tale of love and sacrifice, please hit that like button and subscribe. Now, let's see what unfolds next. As Isadora stood before the Duke, a tempest of emotions swirled within her. Her heart raced as she searched his eyes for any sign of deception. He appeared as charming as ever, his smile radiant under the flickering candlelight that danced around the grand ballroom. Yet, the warmth of his demeanor did little to soothe the anxiety gripping her heart. The whispers that had reached her ears gnawed at her resolve, each rumor a cruel knife that threatened to sever the bond they shared. "Isadora, my dear. You look radiant tonight," he exclaimed, his voice a melodic blend of affection and concern. There was a genuine warmth in his tone, but the shadows of doubt loomed large in her mind. "What is it that troubles you?" Taking a deep breath, she steeled herself. This was the moment she had been dreading and anticipating all at once. "Alistair, we need to talk," she began, her voice trembling slightly despite her best efforts to remain composed. The air around them seemed to thicken, the vibrant laughter of the guests fading into an ominous silence, as if the world had paused just for them. He raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. "Of course, my lady. What weighs on your heart?" His expression remained amiable, but she could sense an undercurrent of tension, a flicker of apprehension as he awaited her next words. Isadora hesitated, the words swirling in her mind like leaves caught in a tempest. She could feel the intensity of his gaze, and yet she found herself grappling with the fear of what she might uncover. "I have heard rumors, Alistair," she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. "Rumors of your betrayal." The Duke's demeanor shifted instantly. The charming smile faded, replaced by a look of shock and concern. "Betrayal? Isadora, I would never do such a thing." His voice grew fervent, an urgency behind it that both comforted and unsettled her. "You must believe me. I have never touched another." Her heart ached at his denial, yet a small part of her still questioned the truth of it. The world around her felt like a whirlwind, spinning out of control. Guests began to notice the tension between them, the whispers of speculation creeping through the crowd like shadows. A knot formed in her stomach as she feared their scandal would soon become the evening's entertainment. "Then what of the woman I saw you with?" she pressed, her voice steadying as the adrenaline surged through her veins. "The way you smiled at her, the way you leaned in to speak with her, it looked so intimate." Each word felt heavy, laden with the weight of her emotions. They hung in the air, thick and suffocating. "I assure you, Isadora, it was nothing more than a polite conversation," he exclaimed, his frustration palpable. "You know me better than that. I would never jeopardize the love we share over fleeting moments of social pleasantries." His desperation to convince her was evident, and she could see the sincerity in his eyes. But doubt is a cruel mistress, and it wrapped around her heart like a vine. "Then why did it look so different to me?" she asked, her voice cracking under the pressure of her emotions. The ballroom around them felt increasingly foreign, each laugh and chatter morphing into a mocking cacophony that echoed her fears. Before he could respond, Lady Clara, her close friend, appeared seemingly out of nowhere, her presence an unwelcome distraction. "Isadora! There you are! I've been looking for you everywhere!" Clara exclaimed, her voice light and cheerful, contrasting sharply with the turmoil in Isadora's heart. "You must join us. The evening is just beginning, and the dance floor awaits." As Clara's words hung in the air, Isadora felt a momentary reprieve from the weight of her fears. Yet, it was fleeting, a mere bandage over a wound that had yet to heal. She turned to the Duke, searching for his reaction, but found him still staring at her, a mixture of concern and frustration painted across his handsome features. "Isadora, please," he began, but she cut him off, her heart racing as she faced her friend. "Clara, I cannot just join the festivities. I need to resolve this first." The urgency in her voice surprised even herself. She was determined to uncover the truth.
Resolve what? Clara asked, her brow furrowing in confusion. You two look as if the world is ending. What could possibly be so dire?
The innocent question felt like a dagger, piercing through the fragile bubble of their conversation. Isadora glanced back at the Duke, and in that moment, their eyes locked. He seemed to plead with her, silently urging her to trust him, to dismiss the rumors that had crept into her heart. But the very nature of love is intertwined with trust, and she felt that trust wavering dangerously. Alistair, please, she murmured, her voice barely a whisper, I need to know the truth.
Are you truly innocent?
The Duke stepped closer, the distance between them shrinking. Isadora, look into my eyes, he urged, his voice low and steady.
You know me.
I would never betray your love. His sincerity resonated within her, yet the specter of doubt lingered like a storm cloud overhead. As the music swelled around them, Isadora felt the weight of the moment. The laughter of the guests, the flickering candlelight, and the swirling gowns all seemed to blend into the background, leaving just the two of them suspended in time. If this story resonates with you, please share it with someone who appreciates heartfelt tales.
Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next emotional journey.
In the depths of her heart, she realized the importance of this moment. The choices they made now would define their future, and with that realization came a rush of determination. She would not let doubt dictate her life, she needed to confront her fears head-on, no matter the outcome. It was time to find clarity amidst the chaos, and she was ready to face whatever truth lay ahead.
The tension in the grand ballroom escalated as Isadora faced the Duke.
His piercing gaze held a mixture of surprise and indignation, but her heart was heavy with doubt. Each beat echoed the rumors that had taken root in her mind, twisting her thoughts into a painful knot. The murmur of the guests around them faded into a distant hum as she prepared to confront him. Alistair, she began, her voice trembling slightly, I cannot ignore what I've heard. The whispers of your betrayal hang thick in the air, and I need to know the truth. Her heart raced, not just from the confrontation, but from the fear of what his answer might be. The Duke's brow furrowed as he took a step closer, his expression shifting from surprise to urgency. Isadora, you must understand, it is all a misunderstanding. I would never betray you. His voice, usually so steady and comforting, now trembled with emotion. Then what of the woman I saw you with? She pressed, her words sharper than intended. The way you smiled at her, the way you leaned in to speak with her, it looked so intimate. The weight of her accusation hung in the air, and the silence that followed felt suffocating. His eyes widened, and she could see the disbelief flicker across his handsome features. That was merely a social exchange. I assure you, I had no ulterior motives.
He took another step forward, desperation evident in his voice. You know me better than that, Isadora.
I would never jeopardize what we have over a mere pleasantry. Doubt clouded her heart, tightening its grip. But why did it look so different to me, she questioned, her voice breaking as vulnerability washed over her. The laughter of the guests around them began to feel like an invasion, mocking her pain and uncertainty. Before he could respond, Lady Clara, her dear friend, appeared as if summoned by the universe to break the tension.
Isadora! There you are! I've been looking for you everywhere!
Clara exclaimed, her cheerful demeanor a stark contrast to the storm brewing within Isadora. You must join us. The evening is just beginning, and the dance floor awaits.
In that moment, a flicker of relief washed over Isadora. Clara always had a way of bringing light into the gloom, but the comfort was fleeting.
She turned to the Duke, seeking a glimmer of understanding, but found only a mixture of concern and frustration on his face. Isadora, please, he implored, but she cut him off, urgency rising within her. Clara, I cannot just join the festivities. I need to resolve this first. Her voice was stronger than she felt, driven by the need to uncover the truth.
Resolve what? Clara asked, confusion etching her features. You two look as if the world is ending. What could possibly be so dire?
The innocent inquiry pierced through the fragile bubble of their exchange, leaving Isadora feeling exposed. She glanced back at Alistair, their eyes locking for a moment. He appeared to plead with her, silently urging her to trust him and to dismiss the rumors swirling in her mind. But the nature of love is intertwined with trust, and she felt that trust wavering dangerously. "Alistair, please," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper, "I need to know the truth."
"Are you truly innocent?"
The Duke stepped closer, closing the space between them, his presence both comforting and unsettling. "Isadora, look into my eyes," he urged, his tone low and steady.
"You know me.
I would never betray your love." Sincerity radiated from him, but the specter of doubt still loomed large, casting shadows over her heart. The music swelled around them, enveloping the moment in a haunting melody. The laughter and chatter from the guests faded into the background, leaving just the two of them suspended in a fragile silence. If this story resonates with you, please share it with someone who appreciates heartfelt tales.
Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next emotional journey.
Isadora inhaled deeply, realizing the significance of this moment. The choices they made now would define their future. It was time to confront her fears head-on, regardless of the outcome. She would not allow doubt to dictate her life. "Alistair," she said, her voice steadied with determination, "I need you to tell me everything. I need to understand what happened, and I need you to reassure me that my love for you has not been misplaced." He nodded, visibly relieved that she was willing to engage in this critical moment. "I promise, I will explain everything," he said, his voice earnest. "But first, you must know that my heart belongs to you alone."
There was never anyone else. Isadora felt a flicker of hope ignite within her.
The sincerity in his voice was palpable, and as she looked into his eyes, she saw a reflection of the love they once shared. But the scars of doubt were not easily erased, and she knew this conversation was only the beginning of unraveling the truth behind the rumors. As they stood there, the world around them blurred. The sounds of the ballroom, with its laughter and music, faded into the background, leaving only the two of them in their bubble of uncertainty. She could feel the weight of her heart, the pulse of fear and hope intertwining in a delicate dance. This was a moment of revelation, a chance to either solidify their bond or shatter it forever. Isadora took a deep breath, ready to unearth the truth that lay beneath the surface, knowing full well that the outcome could change everything for them both. The tension in the grand ballroom could be sliced with a knife as Isadora's heart raced in her chest. The moment she had dreaded was unfolding before her eyes, and she felt as if the very air around her had thickened into a suffocating fog. She had always been the epitome of grace under pressure, but now, with the weight of doubt heavy on her shoulders, she felt as if she might crumble. Her gaze was locked onto the Duke, Alistair, who stood before her, confusion written across his handsome features. "Isadora," he began, his voice laced with concern, yet she could see the spark of frustration in his eyes. "You must believe me when I say I would never betray you. I have been loyal to you in every regard." But the whisperings of betrayal that had reached her ears were like poison, seeping into her heart and clouding her judgment. The laughter of the guests seemed to mock her anguish, a cruel backdrop to the turmoil within her. In that moment, she felt utterly alone, her spirit wavering like a candle flickering in a storm. "I want to believe you," she murmured, feeling her voice break under the strain of her emotions.
"But how can I?
The rumors are everywhere, Alistair. They say you have been unfaithful, that you have touched another." At the mention of the alleged betrayal, Alistair's expression shifted from confusion to indignation.
"Those are lies, Isadora. You know me better than that. I have loved you with every fiber of my being.
I would never risk our happiness for a fleeting moment of passion with someone else." She longed to see the truth in his eyes, but the doubts loomed larger than the love they had built together. It felt as though the very foundation of their relationship was crumbling beneath them. It was hard to reconcile the man she adored with the accusations swirling in her mind like a tempest.
Before she could respond, the tension escalated.
Lady Clara, her dearest friend, stepped forward with a look of alarm.
"Isadora! What is happening? You two look as if you've just fought a duel."
Her cheerful demeanor seemed out of place in the charged atmosphere.
Alistair took a step closer, concern etched on his face. "Please, Isadora, allow me to explain. I would never put you through this.
I swear on my honor, I have never touched anyone else."
"Your honor?"
Isadora scoffed,
a bitter laugh escaping her lips. What is honor when the world believes you to be a liar? What good is your word when I am filled with doubt? The anguish in her voice cut through the air, and the guests surrounding them fell silent, drawn into the unfolding drama. Isadora felt the heat of their gaze, their whispers and speculations suffocating her. Suddenly, the weight of the moment became too much to bear, and she stumbled back, her vision blurring. She collapsed, her body falling to the floor like a fragile flower uprooted by a storm. Gasps echoed around the ballroom as guests rushed to her side, but all she could feel was the cool marble against her cheek and the distant murmur of panicked voices. Alistair knelt beside her, his face a mask of fear and desperation. Isadora! Please, can you hear me? His voice was strained, and it pierced through the haze of her consciousness. She opened her eyes slowly, meeting his frantic gaze. The worry etched in his features awakened something deep within her, but the turmoil was still present, gnawing at her heart. As she regained her bearings, she could see the Duke's concern transform into an almost frantic urgency. Isadora, I swear I never touched the other. You must believe me. This is a misunderstanding, a vile trick of rumors. Around them, the audience murmured, their eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and sympathy. The weight of their scrutiny felt unbearable, but Alistair's voice cut through the noise. Please, listen to me, he pleaded, his hands gripping her shoulders gently yet firmly. You know my heart. You know how much I love you. I would never betray you. Tears welled in her eyes as she struggled to comprehend the emotions swirling within her. The truth of his words resonated with her, but the poison of doubt still lingered in her mind. Alistair, how do I know this isn't just sweet talk to save your reputation, she whispered, her voice trembling. Because I would rather die than live without your love, he declared, his voice powerful and raw. You are my heart, Isadora. I would never allow anything to come between us. Please, you must trust me. As the guests around them continued to whisper, the world fell away, leaving just the two of them in their tempest of emotions. In that moment, she felt the gravity of his words. The sincerity in his eyes beckoned her to believe him, to cast aside the fear that had engulfed her. Alistair, she said, her voice barely a whisper, I want to believe you. But the thought of losing you is unbearable. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the ballroom shifted. The tension between them was palpable, and Isadora could feel the hearts of those around her holding their collective breath. It was a fragile moment, teetering on the edge of hope and despair. If this story resonates with you, please share it with someone who appreciates heartfelt tales. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next emotional journey. In that moment of uncertainty, Isadora realized that love was not just about trust, it was about the willingness to fight for that trust in the face of doubt. She could feel her resolve strengthening, the flicker of hope igniting within her. It was time to confront the truth, to push through the shadows of doubt that threatened to engulf her heart. Taking a deep breath, she looked into Alistair's eyes. Tell me everything, she urged, her voice steadied by determination. I need to understand. I need to know the truth. After the dramatic scene in the ballroom, Isadora retreated to the solitude of her home, her heart heavy with confusion and heartbreak. The echoes of the Duke's fervent denials haunted her thoughts as she paced the dimly lit room. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls, mirroring the turmoil within her. Memories of laughter and stolen glances with Alistair flooded her mind, intertwining with the dark whispers of betrayal that now clouded her judgment. She sank into a plush armchair, her fingers tracing the delicate embroidery on the fabric as she fought to calm the tempest inside her. How could the man she loved so deeply be accused of such dishonor? The thought alone sent a shiver down her spine. It felt as though the very foundation of her world was crumbling, leaving her adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Isadora recalled the moments they shared, the gentle caresses, the lingering gazes, the promises whispered in the quiet of the night. Each memory was a precious thread woven into the fabric of her heart, yet the rumors loomed large, casting a shadow over those cherished times. Her mind raced as she considered the implications of what she had overheard. Could it be true? Had he truly betrayed her trust? The flickering flames of the fireplace crackled softly, providing a semblance of warmth in the chilling silence of her room. But even the fire could not dispel the coldness that had settled around her heart.
She closed her eyes, trying to block out the suffocating thoughts, but every time she did, images of Alistair with another woman surged forth, relentless and cruel. As the hours stretched on, she felt a strange pull to reach out to him. Perhaps he could explain, perhaps he could provide the reassurance she so desperately needed. But what if his explanations were mere fabrications, designed to save his reputation rather than her heart? The conflict within her grew more intense, battling between trust and suspicion. Meanwhile, outside her window, the world continued on. The moon hummed high in the sky, its silvery glow illuminating the night. Isadora's heart ached with longing for the days when love felt simple and uncomplicated. She thought of the Duke, his handsome features and charming smile, and how they had made promises to each other under the stars. Suddenly, the sound of a carriage pulling up outside interrupted her reverie. Isadora rose from her seat, her heart racing. Could it be Alistair, returning to explain himself? Hope flickered within her like a fragile flame. She rushed to the window, peering out into the night. There he was, the Duke, stepping out of his carriage with an urgency that mirrored her own heart's racing pulse. He looked up, as if sensing her gaze, and their eyes locked for a brief moment. The world around them faded, leaving only the two of them suspended in time. He hurried up the steps to her door, and her breath caught in her throat. When he knocked, the sound reverberated through the quiet house, amplifying the tension that had been building between them. Isadora hesitated for a moment, uncertainty washing over her. But deep down, she knew she needed to face him, to confront the feelings that had been tearing her apart. With a determined breath, she opened the door, and there he stood, his expression a mixture of relief and concern. Isadora, he breathed, stepping inside as she stepped back to let him in. The moment he crossed the threshold, the air between them crackled with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. Alistair, she began, her voice faltering as she struggled to find the right words. I need to understand. I need to know the truth behind the rumors. He took a step closer, his eyes earnest and filled with emotion. I came as soon as I could. Please, Isadora, let me explain. As he spoke, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small token, a delicate silver locket. This was meant for you. I wanted to give it to you at the ball, but everything happened so quickly. I would never betray you, I swear on my honor. Isadora's heart raced as she took the locket from his hand, the cool metal contrasting with the warmth of their shared moment. The intricacy of its design caught the candlelight, glimmering softly as it dangled from her fingertips. But how can I trust you when the world whispers such terrible things? His brow furrowed, and he stepped even closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Because, Isadora, I love you. And I would never allow anyone to come between us. This is a misunderstanding, a cruel trick of fate. I have never touched another. You must believe me. The sincerity in his voice tugged at her heart, but the shadows of doubt still loomed large. She felt her resolve wavering, the fear of loss battling against the love that had blossomed between them. If you're enjoying this emotional journey, please share it with someone who would appreciate this tale of love and redemption. And don't forget to turn on notifications. As his words settled between them, Isadora realized she had a choice to make. She could either succumb to the weight of suspicion or embrace the love they had forged together. Her heart ached for clarity, for a glimpse of the truth that could set her free from this torment. Taking a deep breath, she looked into his eyes, searching for the truth she longed to find. If you swear you've never betrayed me, then tell me everything. I need to understand how this all began. Alistair nodded, his expression earnest and filled with determination. I will tell you everything, Isadora. I promise you the truth, no matter how painful it may be. As he began to explain, Isadora felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Perhaps, just perhaps, their love could withstand the storm of doubt that had threatened to tear them apart. As the Duke stood before Isadora, the atmosphere in the room crackled with tension. He had arrived with purpose, his heart pounding in his chest, determined to make her understand the truth. The flickering candlelight danced around them, casting shadows that mirrored the uncertainty in their hearts. He took a deep breath, his voice steady yet imploring as he spoke. Isadora, I understand that the rumors have cast a dark cloud over our love, but I assure you, they are nothing but lies. I would never betray you, he said,
his eyes searching hers for any sign of belief. The silver locket he had given her lay between them, a physical reminder of their bond, but doubt lingered like a storm on the horizon. She looked down at the locket, her fingers tracing its delicate surface. Memories flooded back, moments of laughter, shared dreams, and whispered promises under the stars. But the betrayal she had felt at the ball was an insurmountable wall, separating them. "But Alistair," she began, her voice trembling, "if you truly loved me, how could you allow such a scandal to brew? How could you be so careless?" The Duke stepped closer, the urgency in his voice rising. "I was careless, yes, but not in the way you think. I was unaware of the gossip until it was too late. I was at the ball to celebrate our love, not to engage in treachery. You must believe me, I have never touched another. My heart is yours and yours alone." Isadora's heart fluttered at his words, yet the shadows of doubt clouded her mind. She had seen the way the other woman had looked at him, the way their laughter had intertwined in the crowded ballroom. "But I saw you, Alistair. It looked as if you were enjoying her company far too much," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper, as if saying it too loudly would make it all the more real. The Duke's expression shifted from pleading to resolute. "I cannot change how things appeared," he said, his tone firm but gentle, "but I can promise you this, every moment spent with her was a mere facade, a misunderstanding that spiraled out of control. I swear on my honor that my heart belongs to you. I would never put you through this pain intentionally." With that, he reached out and took her hands in his, the warmth of his touch igniting a spark of hope within her. "Please, Isadora, let us talk this through. I want to explain everything. Just give me the chance to make you understand." As he spoke, Isadora could feel the sincerity radiating from him. She wanted to trust him, to believe that his love was as steadfast as he claimed. But the fear of being hurt again clawed at her heart, leaving her torn. "How can I trust you when the world has painted such a different picture?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Because I am standing here, before you, bare and vulnerable. I am risking everything to win your trust back," he replied earnestly. "I have nothing to hide, and I promise to reveal all I can. Just please, don't shut me out." His desperate plea resonated deep within her. She could see the turmoil in his eyes, the way he fought against the rising tide of despair. In that moment, she remembered the reason she had fallen in love with him, the warmth of his laughter, the kindness in his gaze, the way he had always made her feel cherished and special. If this story is touching your heart, please share it with someone who loves tales of love and redemption. Turn on notifications so you never miss our next story, he continued, and for a moment, it felt as though the world outside had faded away, leaving just the two of them suspended in an intimate bubble. "All right," Isadora finally said, her voice steadier as she made her decision. "I will listen. But you must be truthful, Alistair. No more secrets." The Duke nodded, relief washing over his features. "I promise you, no more secrets," he vowed. "Let me tell you about the night in question, about how I came to be in her company and what I discovered afterward." He began to recount the events that had transpired, explaining how he had been cornered into conversations with the other woman, who had been relentless in her pursuit of his attention. "I did not wish to offend her, but I assure you, my thoughts were always of you. In that moment, I felt trapped, caught in her web of flirtation, and I feared what it might look like," he explained, his voice thick with emotion. As he spoke, Isadora felt the walls of doubt begin to crumble, replaced by understanding. She could see the truth in his eyes, the pain of having to defend himself against accusations that threatened to tear them apart. "So you were not enjoying her company?" "It was merely an obligation," she asked, searching for clarity. "Precisely," he confirmed. "I was trying to navigate a social obligation while my heart ached for you. It was a moment of weakness on my part, but I never crossed the line. I would sooner face eternity without you than betray the love we share." Isadora's heart softened at his words, the sincerity evident in his tone. The ache of betrayal still lingered, but she could see a path to forgiveness forming. "Then let us move forward from this, Alistair. Together," she said, her voice filled with newfound determination. The Duke stepped closer, his eyes shining with hope. "Together," he echoed, sealing their unspoken promise. In that moment, they took a step toward healing, toward rebuilding what had been shattered. As they stood hand in hand, the world outside seemed distant, and all that mattered was the love they shared, a bond that had survived the storm of doubt and emerged stronger on the other side. As the tension in the air dissipated, Isadora found herself enveloped in a whirlwind of emotions. The warmth of the Duke's hands around hers brought her back to reality, and she looked up into his earnest eyes. "You have to understand, Isadora," he began, his voice steady yet imbued with an urgency that made her heart flutter. "When I said I would never betray you, I meant it with every fiber of my being. Whatever happened that night was misconstrued, I assure you." She nodded slowly, the weight of his words settling over her like a comforting blanket. Yet, doubt still lingered like a shadow at the corners of her heart. "But how do I know you are telling the truth?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "How do I know it wasn't just a pretty lie to mask the truth?" "Because I am here, standing before you," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "I could have easily turned away, sought refuge in the company of others, but I chose to come to you. I chose to fight for us because you mean everything to me. I would never tarnish the love we share." As he spoke, memories of their time together washed over her, the laughter they shared, the quiet moments filled with understanding, and the passion that lit their connection. The Duke had always been her anchor in the stormy seas of society, and the thought of losing him was unbearable. "I want to believe you," she confessed, her heart aching with the confession. "But the pain of betrayal is something I cannot easily forget." He took a step closer, closing the distance between them. "Pain can be a teacher, Isadora. It can show us what we truly value," he said softly. "And I value you above all else. Let me show you that my heart has always belonged to you, that I would never intentionally hurt you." In that moment, as his sincerity washed over her, Isadora felt the walls she had built around her heart begin to crumble. She could see the desperation in his eyes, the raw vulnerability he displayed, and it stirred something deep within her. "If I am to forgive," she started, her voice trembling with uncertainty, "I need to understand everything. I need to know the truth, every detail, so that I may find it in my heart to trust you again." The Duke nodded, his expression serious yet hopeful. "Of course. I will lay bare everything that happened, I promise you that. The truth is what you deserve, not just half measures or evasions." As he began recounting the night, Isadora listened intently, her heart racing. He spoke of the social obligations that had forced him into an uncomfortable situation, of the woman who had pursued him, and of his desperate attempts to extricate himself. "I felt trapped," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "It was never my intention to lead anyone on. My thoughts, my heart, they were always with you." With each word, Isadora could see the sincerity of his regret. The way he spoke, the tremor in his voice, the way his hands clenched as he relived the moment, it all painted a picture of a man who had been caught in a web of circumstance, not malice. "I never touched her, Isadora." "Never," he pleaded, his eyes searching hers for understanding. The gentle caress of his words wrapped around her like a balm. "I need time," she finally whispered, the weight of her emotions threatening to overwhelm her. "Time to process everything, to heal." "Take as much time as you need," he replied, nodding solemnly. "I will be here, waiting for you, ready to prove my love and loyalty. Together, we can rebuild what has been shaken." In that moment, Isadora felt a flicker of hope igniting within her. Perhaps this was the beginning of a new chapter, a chance to redefine their love and emerge stronger from the storm. If this story is resonating with you, I invite you to share it with someone who appreciates tales of love and redemption. Together, we can explore the journey of healing and trust. As their conversation continued, the shadows of doubt began to retreat, replaced by a fragile yet blossoming trust. Isadora realized that love was not merely a fairy tale, it required effort, vulnerability, and a willingness to face the tumultuous truth. They stood together, hand in hand, feeling the warmth of their connection reignite beneath the weight of their shared struggles. "Let us move forward, Alistair," she said, her voice steady with newfound resolve. "Let us face the world together, stronger than before." "Together," he echoed, his voice filled with conviction. As they stepped forward into the future, it was not just a promise of love that lay ahead, but also a commitment to nurture their bond amidst the uncertainties of life. They understood that their journey would not be without challenges, but they were willing to confront them together, hand in hand, hearts intertwined.
Thank you for being part of this story, Isadora said, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. If you believe in love conquering all, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. At the end of this video, another beautiful story awaits you. As they embraced, the world around them faded into a blur, and all that remained was the promise of hope, love, and the enduring strength of their hearts. Together, they would navigate the challenges that lay ahead, united in their love and determination to overcome.